Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over, and today we are back in Battlefield 5 having a look at the new team balancer that's been added into Breakthrough. Now this is a test that the developers at DICE decided to implement, and to be honest, maybe too little too late. But anyway, I decided to jump into some games and actually see if it worked, if it was actually what they said it was going to be, and if it could possibly be applied to other game modes. Now, like I said, it's a test. It's only available on Breakthrough for now, and they do have plans in the future, if it does work, to implement it in all of the other game modes. So here is what I experienced. Here's a little disclaimer for you guys. It actually turns out that the footage that I gathered for this video has been almost entirely corrupted. I've got about 15 seconds of the video that's actually usable, so you're going to have to put up with this background footage rather than stuff that was specific to what I was talking about in the video, although I have done my best to try and match things up. Right, now that is out of the way, here's this other message. But just before we get into the nitty-gritty of the video, I wanted to remind you guys that I do have a Twitch channel that I stream on at least 4 times a week, and if I can, even more. You'll see Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, some Destiny 2, and various other games, so if you fancy hanging out with me, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/DameOver. There's a link in the description, and I'll see you on the streams. Now, let's get to it. I know some players absolutely love Breakthrough, but it is definitely way at the bottom of my priority list when I do jump onto Battlefield. It's probably one of my least favorite game modes to play, which doesn't help, but you know, I kept a positive mind because I wasn't there for the gameplay, I was there to see what the team balancer would do. So unfortunately, I managed to get into a few games in a row where we lost, and the team balancer did actually come into play. And just to make sure that we're all on the same page, there's the community broadcast, which was posted on the Battlefield forums by Part Welsh, one of the community managers. And he said, yesterday we started quietly rolling out a new system for our end of round experience on official Breakthrough servers across Battlefield 5. The system changes the behavior of Breakthrough to see if we can improve the balance of teams in this mode and ensure healthier gameplay on the server. The post then goes on to explain that it's a test that's going to be happening for the rest of the week, and if it does work and improves the performance of the game overall, it's going to be rolled out in lots of different game modes, but it won't be involved in custom games and grand operations. They're going to remain exactly as they are. So what does this new team balancer actually do in the end of round? Well, luckily, Part Welsh was kind enough to explain this. He says that in the end of round screen in Breakthrough, we're currently triggering a matchmaking service to evaluate the health of the current server, something that I think is definitely needed as they can continue to be laggy over and over for many players, so that's a good thing, I think. They will analyze what squads are currently present on that server and how well they're performing. From there, we can make determinations on if the current population of that server can stay together and progress onto the next map, or if we need to get folks out and into more balanced servers, which to me on paper sounds like an absolutely brilliant idea. He also goes on to say that it adds about 5 to 10 seconds to the current end of round flow, and depending on how quickly the matchmaking service can identify a healthier game for you, it will largely get you into a new round in good time. So that is the official line from DICE and from the community managers, which is great. This is something that we've wanted in Battlefield 5 for the longest time. I honestly don't know why they haven't implemented something like this sooner, especially since they had a team balancer in Battlefield 1. It just seems to have been completely forgotten, and if you guys have watched any of my past videos or any other Battlefield creators that have made any videos on Battlefield 5, at some point we would have talked about being stuck in the same lobby for hours and hours without anything changing because there is no team balancer. So you'd end up being on a team where people get fed up and leave, or people just keep stomping, but the lobby ends up not being populated because people very quickly join and leave. So the team balancer has obviously been put in place to eliminate that scenario, and I can safely say I'm a little bit confused, to be perfectly honest, because as you can see from the end of this first round that I played, the majority of the players that were in the lobby completely get kicked. Now, we had full teams on each side, so it's 32 versus 32, and we went down to 8 versus 8, and then new players started joining, and then the start screen basically started all over again. The game ended up taking ages to load in and actually start itself, and then when the game did start, both teams were still underpopulated. Now, I know this is a testing phase, and I completely give DICE the benefit of the doubt here, but it seems like after them literally saying in the post that they've tested it extensively, that this is something that should have been actually sorted out before it got rolled out to the general public. The game then continued underpopulated for quite some time, and it was very confusing because I don't understand how players didn't get in. It ended up working out that it was almost populated fully on each of the teams, but then Again, come the end of the round, a similar thing happened, but this time my squad, who I was stuck with for that, people that I don't know and didn't actually deliberately try to play with, I was stuck with my squad and we were taken out of that game and put into a new one. Again, underpopulated because all the players are being mixed around with all of these different servers, which is absolutely fine. But I deliberately choose my servers from the server browser to make sure I've got the best possible ping. Now, at this point, there is no way to guarantee that I don't have the best possible ping, or if I've got the worst possible ping. I don't understand exactly the ins and outs of how it works, because it's obviously trying to find an average ability level between all of the players in my squad, and also find the best connection between all of the players in my squad, which, if I am playing with people from various parts of the world, because as we know, Battlefield 5, you end up playing with people from all over the place. If I've got someone, let's say, from South Africa in my squad, and I'm in the UK, our connections are obviously going to be vastly different to a European server. So does it kind of meet somewhere in the middle? Does it exclude the person from South Africa and just accept that they're going to have a bad connection? Where does this all come into play? Now, that's literally just something to think about. I didn't have any connection issues apart from a couple of times seeing the packet loss thing pop up on the screen, but honestly, it felt absolutely fine. My bullets were hitting the targets when I was shooting at them, so I wasn't bothered by it at all. Now, as we all know, Battlefield 5 is relatively underpopulated, and especially on Xbox, it is even more underpopulated than the other two platforms on PlayStation and on PC, so moving players around from lobby to lobby does seem to make sense that there wouldn't be enough to fill each of the games that the game is trying to force you to play in. And while I do really like the idea of this team balancer, I'm a little bit unsure of how well it works, because I don't know if it's taking the information from the round before, or if you're playing with a team that isn't fully populated, if it then takes into account the score that you're getting during that round. It just, there are many questions. There are many questions that need to be asked of this whole thing. And the big question is, did it actually feel like it was making a difference? And like I said at the beginning, 3 games on the trot where we lost pretty horrifically, and one where we won sort of just squeaking past. I don't really know, to be honest. There's no significant difference to my Battlefield 5 experience other than being forced to quit by the game itself and by this team balancer, rather than me hitting the start menu and going to quit because my team was getting stomped repeatedly. I think there are several reasons why it is very difficult to tell, because it's on a game like Breakthrough, which lasts a very, very long time, especially if it is competitive. It can go on for up to like 45 minutes or something ridiculous. And I understand they may have chosen Breakthrough because it's one of the lesser popular game modes. If they went for Conquest, which is the standard game mode for Battlefield 5, I think a lot of people would have been unhappy. But without a point of comparison, i.e. being able to stay in the same lobby for more than one round, it's very difficult to tell if it actually does make a difference at all to the experience. I'm really looking forward to the guys at DICE gathering more data and seeing if this can actually work in other game modes, and to be honest, I would be happy if they managed to implement it on other game modes and left Conquest alone for a little while and just tested it out on a game mode every week just to see if it would work. Now, like I mentioned before, the end of round flow would have been interrupted, in theory, by about 5 to 10 seconds, but this is what's happening when I'm spawning into a new lobby. So my squad has been, the squad of complete randoms who I don't want to play with, has been taken out of the current lobby we're in, and we've been put into a new one. And if you pay attention to the counter at the top of the screen there, I'll just zoom in on it so you can actually see what I'm looking at. And if you watch how much that counts down, it changes from the pre-game countdown into the actual match countdown. This is how long it takes for for more players from other completely random servers to be put into this lobby and have it populated enough to play a game mode on a map that's this large. Now, it's a considerable amount of time, to be perfectly honest, and it's way longer than 5 to 10 seconds. Now, I'm all up for the team balancer moving people around, and I'm happy to move from lobby to lobby, but as long as it doesn't interrupt the game that much, where I'm going into a new server that has absolutely no one in it. I don't want to be running around the map for 2 or 3 minutes without seeing anybody because the game has failed to load people into it. Again, it is a test. We must take all of this with a pinch of salt. But this is something that DICE are notorious for not quite getting right. They don't seem to test things properly. They don't have an environment in which they can test things properly. And not to mention the fact that this method of team balancing is so close to being skill-based matchmaking, it's actually quite scary. Now, skill-based matchmaking in first-person shooters has been a huge point of contention for the longest time. And Battlefield 5 deciding to implement something which isn't a team randomizer, but rather one that evaluates your skill and moves you accordingly, it can only really be described as skill-based matchmaking. Now, technically, this shouldn't really be a problem. If every single game was populated fully and you had a team of 32 versus 32, then you could just let the team balancer do its thing. But quite a lot of the time, teams are underpopulated. When you've got a team of 30 versus a team of 15, you can see why there might be some issues in implementing something that is like skill-based matchmaking. Now, the thing that's attractive about Battlefield on the whole in each of the Battlefield games is that there are a range of abilities in each lobby. Even picked the game up for the first time, could be in a game with someone that has got the highest possible level and the highest number of service stars with any weapon available. And it's that level of variety that make people come back to Battlefield over and over again. But like I said before, it was difficult to notice any significant difference game to game as far as the ability of the team goes. This could just be the game type. Breakthrough is not the best representation of what Battlefield is about. And maybe they are still having some teething problems with implementing the team balancer. To be honest, it's pretty hard to tell at this point, but I'm hoping things will improve, hopefully by next week, and they can sort of work out these kinks. But then I remind myself that it took them over 2 years to implement a team balancer, so what do you expect? I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the new team balancer that's been implemented on Breakthrough on Battlefield 5. If you guys have managed to get on and experience it yourself, make sure you let me know how you felt in the comments below. Let me know what you hope that the team balancer is going to be in the future. And let's have a very quick thank you to my Dame Operatives, those of you guys supporting the channel on Patreon. You guys are absolutely awesome, and it's your support that helps keep this channel going. If you want to become a Dame Operative yourself, there's a link down in the description to the Patreon page, and you can help support the channel from as little as $1 a month. So if you had a good time, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new around here, hit that sub button too. Don't forget to head over to my twitch.tv. The link is down in the description, and hopefully I'll catch you in the streams. Until next time, that's Dame over. Peace.